Hello everybody, and I am back again for another menopause Q&A, and today I'm talking about something that impacts so many women, and that is weight. A number of women who say to me, all of a sudden I just started gaining weight. So I thought I'd share a few things with you today that might be useful. I've got a few notes that I'm going to go through. So let's talk about weight. Is this not a big issue? And I know this has been a massive issue for me over the years as well. To start with, it was just a gradual increase, and nothing that I seemed to do worked. Everything that I'd done in the past, if I wanted to drop some weight, I simply used, for me personally, I would just drop back into the keto diet, do that for a couple of weeks, bring the weight back down, and I would be able to go on and, basically keep the weight under control. But as I got to my mid-40s, it started to just creep up. And originally I'm thinking, well, this is just stress. At that stage, I had two very young children because I had my second child at 43. So I was still breastfeeding at 45, and then I'm getting closer and closer to my 50s. And there was a lot going on in my life. I was running a business. There was a large clinic, and I had young kids who were just starting school. So I was just thinking, oh, yeah, that's just a bit of stress. And it just kept creeping on and creeping on. And then as I got to my 50s, then it just started to stick and nothing was moving. It just wouldn't move. And I've had women who say to me, oh, I seem to have put on 8 kilos in the last couple of months and it just won't budge. What is going on? So there are a few things that are going on, and because it's not just one thing. And one of the things I will say to you is what you used to do in the past to lose weight most likely will not work now, which is really, really unfortunate. So we've got to understand that our body is changing. It's not the same body that we had when we were in our 20s and 30s. And our hormones are shifting. And just like when you very first got your period, your body started to change and you got a change in shape as the hormones started to change the way that your body looked and felt. Same thing's happening now in that your hormones are changing the way that your body looks and feels. It's just kind of the process in reverse. But we've got a lot more things going on now as we get to this age of life. So there's a couple of things we need to be looking at. Number one is our stress levels. High levels of stress will result in us holding fat around our stomach. This is a bit of a protective mechanism that we have developed evolutionary, in that in the past when there wasn't a lot of food around, we needed to store fat. The easiest way to store that fat was around our stomach because it was the quickest way for us to convert, the body to convert and give us that energy when we required it. So stress will tend to have us putting weight on around our stomach. Now, we've also got to look at our thyroid. Now, many women, and about 60% of women, have an underactive thyroid. And it doesn't mean that you have thyroid disease. It just means your thyroid isn't working as well as it should do. And your thyroid is related to your ability to metabolize food and to create energy. And if you tend to notice that you hold weight more around your hips and your butt, that tends to be more of a thyroid issue. So if you're finding that the weight is settling more around the hips and the glute area, that could be an indication that it's more thyroid. If it's sitting around the waist, then that's an indication it could be stress, or it could be one other thing, which is another hormone we need to be looking at, and that is insulin. Now, insulin is to do with our ability to regulate our blood sugars. And many women, by the time they get to their mid-40s, 50s or so, actually have insulin resistance. And this is it's a pre-diabetic stage, but it's a metabolism, it's a metabolic condition. And it comes from a diet which is high in sugars, processed foods, alcohol. All of that leads to an imbalance in our blood sugar regulation and our insulin. So if you have insulin resistance, once again, that weight will sit around your stomach. So as you can see, there's quite a few things going on, all different hormones. So we've got thyroid hormones we need to be looking at. We've got our stress hormones we need to be looking at, and we've got our insulin hormones we need to be looking at. And we also need to consider our reproductive hormones. So as we're getting to this stage of life, our reproductive hormones are all starting to change. Now, if your estrogen levels are dropping and they're dropping too fast, the body sometimes wants to hold on to estrogen. And ideally, and if you watched my video that I did the other day, that as our reproductive hormones come down and our ovaries stop producing these hormones, in the ideal world, our adrenal glands would produce enough hormones so that we don't have sudden drops. But unfortunately, because our adrenal glands are stressed and we're spending too much time making all of this cortisol and stress hormones, there's not enough resources to make the reproductive hormones as well. So as the body starts to lose estrogen, if the adrenal glands aren't working properly, it wants to try and find some estrogen. And luckily for the body, our fat actually has lots of estrogen receptors in it. So lots of fat stores within our body actually holds estrogen. So if your body is looking for estrogen because it doesn't have enough, what it will do, it will hold on to what it does have, and that is sitting within the fat stores. And this is why it is harder for you to lose weight regardless of what you've got going on. So as you can see, there are so many different factors at play. And then we add on top of that the diet choices that many women have, which can be high in sugar, and alcohol is a big one. Alcohol consumption in our society is highest. The biggest group of people who consume alcohol is women over the age of 45. And it's really become an accepted thing in our society that if you're feeling stressed, you've had a really bad day, that a glass of wine is a great way to, calm all that down. And that's actually adding to the problem, because not only is it impacting your thyroid function, it's impacting your insulin, it's impacting your stress, and it's impacting the estrogen that's being held within the fat receptors. So there's so much going on. So that was the bad news. Now, let me give the good news. There are things we can do about this. It doesn't have to be this way. Now, as I said, for my personal story, I was struggling to lose weight, and I was putting on more and more weight, and I felt really uncomfortable. I had an injury in my hip, which meant I couldn't exercise as much. And because I wasn't exercising, I couldn't lose weight. Even though my diet was relatively, what I thought was relatively healthy, I was still struggling to lose weight. And I'm going to share with you in a minute what I did to actually drop. And I have dropped 12 kilos since the beginning of this year, and I've managed to keep it off. But I'm going to share that with you in a couple of minutes. So what can we do about this? Well, number one, let's look at the hormones. If we wanted to reduce our insulin and bring down the insulin resistance, we need to have a diet that's higher in vegetables. Many people are not having enough vegetables. So we do need the vegetables, whole vegetables, that are full of fiber, because that helps to regulate your insulin and also helps to clear out your system. Dropping down the sugar consumption, so particularly the processed sugars and alcohol, is that will help to. It's not the total solution with your insulin, but it will help. Another thing that actually helps with taking away the impact of sugar and the need to have so much sugar is cinnamon. Cinnamon's really great for reducing your blood sugar levels. So, and I'm not talking about cinnamon sugar, I'm just talking about cinnamon. So adding a little bit of cinnamon to your food will help to bring down those blood sugar levels. What can we do to increase our thyroid function? Quite a few different things, but when it comes to diet, once again, increasing vegetables, increasing iodine-rich foods, and they are foods like your seaweeds. They're really, really rich in iodine. So all your foods that come from the ocean are really high in iodine. And obviously fish is in there as well. Reducing gluten and grain foods. So they tend to interfere with the function of the thyroid, so bringing that down. Once again, reducing sugar and alcohol. Reducing stress. Now, obviously, everybody's stress is individual as to what causes them stress, and stress not only comes from an emotional, it's also physical. So the way that your body is functioning, the food that you're eating, how your gut, your digestive system is working, the amount of toxic load that you're being exposed to, all of that is stress on the body. So the solution to that is very individual, very personalized. And I'll talk about personalized health in a minute and how you might be able to address some of that stress. But if you know there's things that are stressing you, there's things that you can do to reduce that. You know, meditation works for some people, journaling works for others. Just changing the frame of what is going on rather than seeing everything in a negative light, actually switching it and saying, well, what lessons can I get from this? So there's many ways that we can reduce stress. We can actually increase our estrogen by reducing our stress. So because, as I said, when the adrenal glands are spending all of their resources pumping out stress hormones, it can't actually make the reproductive hormones. So if we actually reduce our stress, then our body will be able to produce a small, it's not the full amount of estrogen that you had when you were fully ovulating every single month and had regular periods, but it'll lift those estrogen levels just a little bit so that your body isn't holding onto it within your fat stores. And you can also look at phytoestrogen foods. So phytoestrogen, phyto means plant, so these are the plant-based estrogens which work well within our body. And some of the common ones are soya, but be careful of what type of soya you're using. So soya beans is a phytoestrogen. Obviously, we get soy products which are processed. We just need to be very careful because a lot of soy products, the soy is actually genetically modified. So if you're having an organic soy, and if it's been fermented, so something like a tempeh is really good, or just eating straight soya beans, you can do that as well. Sesame seeds and flax seeds are also really, really high in phytoestrogens. And I did do a podcast and a blog. Also, I've put it into both the group and on my page, seed cycling. And that goes into how you can look at including those phytoestrogens in your diet. Now, all of this comes down to what is going on with you and what is happening to your body. So it's really important that you eat right for your body type. And as I said, when I was struggling to lose weight, my go-to has always been in the past, it has been a ketogenic diet. So I would go to a ketogenic diet and it worked, but it wasn't working now that I was in this menopause stage of life. One, I struggled to stick to it. And two, I just wasn't getting the results that I used to get before. So, and I couldn't understand why. And I was very reluctant to talk about diet and food for a long time because I was having problems and I couldn't find the solution that was going to work for me. And if I couldn't find the solution, I didn't know how I was going to recommend it to other women on what they were going to do. But then I learned about personalized health. And personalized health is something that I do. I am a personalized health coach. But what personalized health is actually looking at everybody as an individual. And we start by looking at what is your genetic makeup, what's your genetic blueprint. And on top of that, we put what is your lifestyle, what is your environment, what's everything been like in your life up until this point, and taking all of that information together and looking at where you are right now, your hormone profile, what it is you want to achieve. You want to lose weight, you want to get stronger, whatever it is, and then create a personalized health profile for you that's based on exactly what you require. And these personalized health profiles go down to telling you exactly what foods to be eat that works right for you in this moment, what time you should be eating, the best type of exercise for you, what time you should be exercising. Also looks at, what your environment, what works best for you in your environment, the best type of job you should be doing. It's very, very detailed. Now, when I first started, I learned about this. I trained in this, became a coach. and I started to see massive results. And for myself, from the beginning of this year, I have really focused on following my own personal profile. So since the beginning of this year, I have dropped 12 kilos. I have kept that off. I have never felt better. I am full of energy. I am getting stronger. I walk nearly every single day. So I will walk 1 to 2 hours every single day. On the weekends, I walk longer. I think clearer. I work better because I'm working at the right time for my body. And it has made an absolute massive difference in the way that I feel. And everything, my body is just starting to rebalance itself. It doesn't happen overnight, but it does takes a little bit of time, but you start to notice, for some people, they'll notice really quickly, they'll get results. Other people, because their bodies are different, it may take a little bit longer to get results, but the results are not always what you're expecting them to be. So it may not be that you drop kilos straight away, but you might start to notice that you have more energy. You might think clearer. And then so when you're in that place, then it makes it easier for you to continue on eating the right foods for your body. So this is why now I do not suggest a specific diet and saying, okay, everybody should be on the keto diet or everybody should be on this diet, because it is individual for each woman. For me, I am best when I have a diet that is higher in vegetables, not quite so much protein. And this is actually another point I just want to make. We often don't need as much protein as what we think we need, particularly in this stage of life. Now, this was actually something which kind of went against the grain of everything that I'd been taught and everything I'd done. But then I started to realize, when I got into personalized health and started to look at that and go, well, why do I not need protein? And then I went, okay, it makes so much sense, because protein is a growth. It's all about growing and growing bigger. And if you're already too big for what you want in your body, well, we don't want to grow any bigger. But we've also got to remember that when we're cycling every single month, we need the protein to be able to keep that up, because we need the protein to grow a baby, to produce an egg. And even though each month we may not fall pregnant, we still need that energy and that protein to produce that egg and to go through all of the processes and create all the hormones that are required to take that egg, should it get fertilized, to grow it into a baby. When you're no longer in that stage of life, you no longer need that much protein, because you're not producing an egg every month. But if you're not bleeding anymore, well, then you're not producing the internal lining of the uterus. So we don't need as much protein as we get older. And the other thing, and this is something I forgot to say earlier, one of the other reasons why women sometimes hold on to weight is because simply they're eating too much. You don't need to be eating as much now as what you did in the past, because once again, you are not cycling on a regular basis, or you're not cycling at all. You do not need that extra energy anymore, because you don't have those body processes going through. You don't need as much of that hormone. So you don't need to be putting that much nutrition back into your body. And this was a big eye-opener for me, because I would eat probably a third of what I used to eat before. I do intermittent fasting. I rarely eat dinner these days. I only have a breakfast, which I have late, and then I have a late lunch, and that's all I eat. I only have 2 meals a day. And it has made a massive difference. I'm not hungry. It took me a while to get used to that, because I was in the habit of eating, and I used to have a really big meal at dinner time. I used to have a massive meal at dinner time, bigger than my husband sometimes, and I don't have anything at all. And it has made so much difference. I sleep better without having that at night. Now, for some women, you will need to have dinner. You don't have the same body type as me, so you will need to have dinner, but you probably don't need to be eating as much. So if you want personalized health, I did do a series of videos on this earlier, or actually late last year. So I will put the links underneath this video where you can go, and if you view, there's 4 videos altogether, because I split the webinar into 4 videos. If you watch videos 2, 3, and 4, it will tell you all about personalized health. Video 1 goes through a lot of stuff about what's happening with your hormones and all of that. You can watch that one as well. But hopefully that has been useful for you. That there's lots of information there. This is just such a big topic, and it's a big part of what we do within the Embrace program. The Embrace program is designed to help you create the body and the life that you want, and it is based around the personalized health profile, that every woman is different. So you will get your own personalized health program. You will get your own personalized food list, exercises, all of that. It is completely personalized to you, to what works for you and what your body requires. But alongside that, we also have the group. So you have one-on-one personal calls with me. You have your own profile. You have all of that information in an app, but then we also work together as a group, because women, one of the things that when I've been speaking to women, one of the big things is that they feel like they're going through this journey alone, that they feel ashamed of what's happening to their body and no one is talking about it. So this is why I've created the Embrace program as both the personalized with the one-on-one plus the group, so that you do not have to go through this alone, even though everyone will have their own like mini program that they have to do. As a group, we can come together, we can talk, we can have open conversations, you can share what's happening for you, what is working, what isn't working. And so this is why I created the Embrace program, to really support you in all levels, so on a physical, emotional, and a spiritual level. So if you're interested in joining the Embrace program, you will find more about that if you go to the link bit.ly/embrace_online. I'll put that in the comments underneath the video anyway. But if you go there, that will take you over and it'll give you all of the information. We will be kicking off the next round soon. If you want to be part of that, all of the information is on that page, bit.ly/embrace_online. Go over there, check it out, and really, really would love to have you join us on the journey to discovering who you truly are and creating the life that you truly want. That's it from me today. I will be back next week. Someone asked me a question about osteoporosis, and this is something that impacts or affects many, many women as they get older. So our next Menopause Q&A will be on osteoporosis. If you've got any specific questions around osteoporosis, let me know. But in the meantime, what day is it? I can't remember what day it is. I think it's Thursday. So have a great weekend. And from my heart to yours, infinite love and gratitude. Bye for now.